Welcome, and thank you for joining me. The Magician card was a fascinating journey for me. To me, thanks to Paul Foster Case and Jason Lauderhand, I see the tarot as a guide to our personal evolutionary journey. Along this journey, I came to understand the Magician represents a soul trying to control their reality, but they lack the understanding of the Hermetic principle, as above, so below, as within, so without. There is an amazing quote by A.E. Waite that really illuminates this character that I will cover at the end. We're going to briefly touch on the modern versions of this card and the meaning given by divination. Then we'll break down the symbolism and its meaning. Then I'm going to explain the elements. It is interesting to see the modern interpretations of this card. According to the insert of the cheap version of A.E. Waite's card, the meaning of the card is will or skill. The Light Seer Tarot lists skill as the first term and explains the Magician brings forth a powerful message of creation. Find your why. With everything you need sitting in front of you like a giant cauldron, what is it that you desire to bring to life? Motto, I can manifest what I desire through energy and action. Page 21. Indeed, when you look at the card, it is a man sitting cross-legged, summoning energy from what looks like a circular energetic cauldron, resembling a galaxy. Behind him, the sky is yellow, just as in the Magician card of A.E. Waite and Paul Foster Case. And there is only a hint of vegetation in this one. Colette Baron Reid also describes this card as primarily dealing with will and skill, but explains it a different way. When I see this card, I'm reminded that my will and skill alone will yield limited results. And then she goes on to explain that we have a partnership with Spirit to co-create. The Good Tarot card simply depicts a man in what looks like a hooded cape. He wears black, which represents ignorance according to Case. His hair is gray, and he wears glasses, which both indicate wisdom. He emerges from swirling energy. Now that we see the modern interpretation is will and skill, let's get into the symbolism of Rider Waite and Paul Foster Case's Magician. According to Paul Foster Case, the Magician's hair is black, representing ignorance. I'm assuming that in the Light Seer's Tarot, the hair is black for the same reason. The Magician robes is red and unadorned. Red represents Mars and desire nature. However, as Jason Lauderhand points out, the cut of the jacket is done so that the Magician can remove the robe as he wishes, meaning he uses the desire nature and willpower of Mars as needed instead of being controlled by it. Again, we have a yellow background representing air. This represents an intellectual pursuit. There is an infinity symbol over the Magician's head. This was, according to Waite, a secret symbol at the time he created his deck. However, both Waite and Paul Foster Case represent this Holy Spirit. Waite also refers to the 8 Egyptian netters, while Case refers to it as a symbol for Hermes. This indicates that what the Magician is actually doing is performing alchemy, as Hermes is said to have written alchemy's emerald tablet. In the Rider Waite and Paul Foster Case cards, the Magician stands in a garden of roses and lilies because their subconscious is fertile. They've grown and are not as barren as the Fool card who stands on that cliff. Red roses symbolize desire, Venus, the pentagram, and the 5 senses because there are 5. The white lilies are abstract thought, have 6 petals representing the hexagram and the microcosm. The 4 lilies represent the 4 worlds or the 4 elements. Then there is the Ouroboros at the waist of the Magician. Case and Waite both note that the blue-green serpent around the Magician's waist, but do not explain it. Now in alchemy, a green serpent represents unrefined Mercury. Again, this hints that this Magician is still young and inexperienced. And similar to the infinity symbol above his head, there is a pattern of rhythm and motion to both the Ouroboros and the infinity symbol. Also, note that the Ouroboros is at the waist right about the sacral chakra, which is our spiritual center that is all about creation and fertility. In the very process of creation, we recycle energy that was once in another form. A piece of wood is fashioned and transformed into a part of a chair. While it was a branch or trunk of a tree, that form of energy is transmuted into a chair by the process of human creation. The nature of the energy does not change. It is the same atoms, neutrons, and protons, but it has a different form after our manipulation of matter. The Magician's gesture is important in Case and Waite's cards. Waite explains, in the right hand is a wand raised toward heaven, while the left hand points down to the earth. This sign is known in very high grades of the Instituted Mysteries. It shows the descent of grace, virtue, and light, drawn from things above and derived to things below. Page 36. The principle the classic depiction represents is the Hermetic phrase, as above, so below. However, the rest of the phrase is, as within, so without, and the Magician is missing that part of the formula. Again, this makes me think of the Magician as more of an apprentice alchemist. I think it's important to note that Case's magician is looking down and Waite's magician is looking at us. There are major differences between Waite's and Case's depiction of the table in their cards. Case explains that the table is the field of awareness. He explains that the table is square because it corresponds to material reality. The earth, or our everyday waking reality, is represented by the square, with the four corners of the square representing the four elements. Case's table is on the left and has ionic pillars that require the compass to make, and is to the left of the magician. Case associates the magician card with a Freemason's practice that reveres the compass. Waite's table is on the left, and it has normal table legs, but it has the magical glyphs along the edge. One symbol is a bird, another looks like a snake, and finally what looks like the zodiac sign of Aquarius, two wiggly lines above one another. No explanation is given by Waite for these symbols, nor attention is given to these details in Waite's book. Alchemy explains the symbols. The snake is unrefined Mercury. The bird represents refined spirit. The Aquarius-like symbol may represent as above, so below, similar to the magician's gesture. On the table are the symbols of the four elements. There's a wand for fire, a cup for water, a coin for earth, and a sword for air. According to Waite, the magician's problem is he needs to arrange the elements into the proper order. Now this is a reference to alchemy, and we know the proper order thanks to the indigenous medicine wheel. I will touch on this a lot more at the end of this video. I think it is worthy of note that A.E. Waite's wand on the table looks more like worked wood with a gold diamond at the top, whereas Case's looks like a branch with leaves that are still alive, invoking the staff of Aaron in the Bible. Case's cup looks more crystalline, not gold, and the pentacle coin in Case's looks brown, not gold, with magical symbols on it. The swords look similar, save that Case's hilt is brown instead of gold. What I also want to point out here is that the Magician card connects the Minor Arcana to the Major Arcana. I believe this is the only card that connects the two systems. I also want to point out that Lauterhand makes a fantastic point with this card. He openly explains that the magician is your self-consciousness, page 18. Case does mention this in his chapter on the magician, but Lauterhand dwells on this concept. According to Lauterhand, the above that the magician is channeling is the superconscious, and the below is the subconscious. Case makes it clear in his system, and Waite via the gesture, that the magician in their system is a channel of the divine. I remember when I first read a book, one on the chakras, that finished off by saying that I was now a channel of the divine, and how I totally rejected that and was ill at ease with the thought. A channel, I felt, was a tool used by the divine, and not something capable of autonomy, of being set a task and able to go about pursuing a creative solution. Case flat out says that the magician affords a free channel of communication, which permits the free passage downward and outward of the superconscious light, which is above and within, page 40. This is in complete agreement with Hermetic principles. Therefore, what the magician is doing is expressing the will of the divine from above to the subconscious below. The co-creator perspective is very different from a channel. In the Good Tarot and the Light Seer Tarot, they are summoning energy instead of channeling. In the Light Seer Tarot, the energy does seem to emanate from within, reflecting part of the Hermetic teaching, as within, so without. And that energy is channeled downward into creation, which could, through a stretch of imagination, be the subconscious similar to Case's tarot. Lauterhand explains, this person is the master of what we call matter. He learns how to manipulate matter by practicing on himself. Once he learns how to handle himself, he can manipulate all matter because matter is plastic, not fixed. Matter, however, is the outer reality. In a way, this makes the magician what alchemists describe as a puffer, someone who focuses on trying to manipulate outer reality but not the inner self. Now, this hint at the magician's ignorance is missing entirely from both the Good Tarot and Light Seer's tarot. I see the idea that the tarot depicts spiritual evolution is a hidden esoteric concept that wasn't really carried over to the modern versions of the tarot that I bought. Let's cover the concept A.E. Waite brings up, that what is on the table are the implements of the four tarot suits, and the magician's problem is to arrange them in the proper order. Wands symbolize air, swords represent fire, cups symbolize water, and the coins or pentacles represent earth. Case's description of these are fascinating. In ceremonial magic, these implements are the staff, the cup of libations and divination, the magic sword, and the pentacle or talisman. On the pentacle are written engraved words, numbers, geometrical figures, and sigil. The fact that both Waite and Case attempt to confuse this topic shows that it's a highly coveted secret in the esoteric circles. The fascinating thing is that the indigenous medicine wheel and alchemy contain the same elements and the same colors associated with the elements. We know the order of the elements, then, thanks to the indigenous medicine wheel of North America. This is what Laird Scranton would call a highly cultivated symbol, where the knowledge of the system has been preserved. And the colors of alchemy are in alignment with the elements and colors of the indigenous medicine wheel. Yellow is air and intellect. Red is fire and desire. Blue is water and the subconscious, and black is earth or physical material reality. I am in the process of sharing the directions of the medicine wheel here on the YouTube as I publish this video. I have a playlist on my channel for those videos if you want to find them. Now, not all tribes agree on how to work the circle, clockwise or counterclockwise. To create something, we need to work with it clockwise. To create something, the order is air, fire, water, and earth. We get the urge or idea in the realm of the world, as Paul Foster Case would describe it, of air. Then we take action on it in the realm of fire. Then we create it in the realm of water. And finally, we have the finished product in the realm of earth. Now, air, fire, water, and earth are how to manifest things in matter. This is more than likely the formula that the magician seeks. That is not the formula that spurs evolution or ends samsara. As long as we are addicted to matter and seeing results in the outer reality, we are just apprentices on the path of alchemy and magic. Yes, there can be rewards along that route, but that's not the true purpose of inner alchemy. The secret of alchemy is that it's about spiritual inner evolution. This is based on the principle, as within, so without. True change doesn't happen when we try to exert our will on our outer reality or ourselves. Instead, it happens when we change our inner reality bit by bit. One could look at the medicine wheel and similar to how it describes creating something in physical reality. Things starting as an idea, gathering supplies, making the object, and the finished product. It also describes soul's descent into physical material reality according to Edgar Cayce. I spent a lot of time studying Edgar Cayce, and alchemy is in total agreement with his teachings. First, souls were curious about physical incarnation, air, and then they take the action of desiring to live in physical material reality, fire, and rare for souls. Then they undergo a physical life, water, and then they become fixated on physical material reality. Now, to evolve out of being stuck in physical material reality, we have to reverse the medicine wheel. We start at earth, the northern direction, and the color black. This is the aspect of ourselves that we leave behind when we depart this earth. And in alchemy, this is associated with the planet Saturn. Then we go to the direction of water. We learn the subconscious is an intermediary between us and the divine. The subconscious works best when it's being used in service of consciousness. Most people's subconscious programming creates their reality. That's why it is so important to deprogram ourselves by doing shadow work. When we examine what is motivating our subconscious, and if it serves us, we can let go of negative thought patterns that do not serve us. We can develop a relationship with our subconscious by working with oracle cards, paying attention to astrology, and using self-fulfilling prophecy to our benefit. This is how we integrate aspects of our subconscious into our conscious reality. And this is where the marriage of the Red King and White Queen of alchemy occurs, because this phase of water is ruled by the moon. Then we go to the direction of fire, desire, and action. Here is where we use our magical tool set, only it's not physical items but our interior set of tools. Here, if we change our desire from the physical to the non-material, from material gain to spiritual gain, we experience huge progress. This is associated with the planet Mars, and this would be the Red King. The vitriol or acid of desire has to be lessened at this level. This is, in Edgar Cayce's point of view, when the soul stops being fixated on physical material reality and turns back to the Creator. This frees the soul from samsara and triggers something new. Now, here is the secret of alchemy. It is a guide to giving birth to the superconsciousness. That is what the child alchemy truly is, and what we find in the Judgment card of the Tarot. This is considered a great mystery, and yet, through study, becomes evident. This may be the difference between self-actualized individuals that have peak experiences and those who don't. So the final stage of things is the rebirth of the soul on the level of air, from which souls come. That has drained out the acidic aspect of desire nature, turned back to their spiritual nature, but have attained knowledge of how physical material reality and creation works, and still has the desire to work with material reality. For all intents and purposes, the reason souls descended into physical material reality was to master it, but through the process of self-discovery, realize they are one with the material. That is why the magician is only an apprentice alchemist and not a master. He is only practicing half the Hermetic formula. He is still controlled by his desire nature instead of being one with the nature as the dancer in the world card. There is much more to discover along this journey through the tarot. In summary, I see the magician as an apprentice alchemist as opposed to simply a magician or a master. Instead, he is someone who is still learning, who's just started this journey, just as we have. Now, there is a lot more to learn in the tarot, and I hope that you will join me. Bye for now.